Welcome to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. Kristen, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
Good.
Thank you so much for asking. And Greg, how are you?
Another awesome Sunday. I'm excited. Yes, it's good.
It's a great day. I love being in the studio with both of you. Obviously, you share such amazing information for our viewers at home, and they really appreciate it, so much so I have a little bit of a story that I would love to share. Viewers at home, Greg and Kristen do not know what I'm going to talk about, so this is going to be very interesting. This is actually, our team got an intriguing call the other day. Mom heard our show and liked it enough to reach out, but not for herself. On behalf of her son, who has unfortunately lost his wife not long ago. She wants to help him get his financial life in order. She has an advisor who's been a friend of the family for years. Hopefully the team was able to help him with some ideas, but it's interesting to me that she did not reach out to her current advisor. She actually reached out to us after watching the show. Isn't that interesting? She chose not to reach out to her current advisor, but enjoyed Greg and Kristen so much that she reached out to the team. That's amazing to me.
To me, it's humbling. You know, the fact that when folks are in need, they want to reach out to us for help and for insight and whatever way we can be of help here in the situation. I mean, that is so humbling. And, you know, we found that over the years, it's in these types of life events that people find the need to really go searching. And it could be when, you know, someone loses their job, whether it's a layoff or a buyout or something like that. And so that's a major life event for people, especially if you're over 55, because, you know, your prospects of long-term employment are now shrinking.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, looking for a plan there, you know, looking for a way to say, okay, am I going to be okay? I just lost my job. Can I pay my bills? And, you know, can I take care of my family? And what am I going to do about health insurance? And, you know, putting together something that makes them feel comfortable in something like that. You know, the tragic loss of a spouse, goodness, this is something that we've faced here recently in the office several times.
Yeah.
One of the saddest stories, I mean, this is one that I literally had to go to the tissue box in my conference room. This guy, not this particular one, but the fellow's in his mid-50s. His wife was 53. She was the primary breadwinner. She was a big deal with a hospital, and she was tragically killed in a car accident. And so he reached out, and what's funny is he had an advisor, and the advisor sent him a DocuSign and said, here, sign this, and we'll take care of everything from life insurance proceeds and the wife's 403B where she worked. And he said, I started to sign it and realized that I didn't even know what I was signing up for. I didn't know where the money was going. I didn't know what in the world was going on. He said, so I'd seen your show and decided to call, and he came in and brought his daughter. It was funny, his daughter is really sharp, a young lady in her 20s. She came in with him, and she's almost like the new wife because she's
right.
You know, yes.
All the
But
notes
you know,
information.
so much of the decision-making process when you're thinking about hiring any kind of professional to help you with something is the connection, right?
Yes.
It is.
So like this listener or viewer from the show that had called in, you know, even if you're working with someone and you like them, if there's a connection made based on a conversation or something that binds you to that person almost.
Right,
you know, I'm thinking about when it's been just over a year since I broke my ankle. Can you believe
Has it been? Oh,
do you remember
gosh,
my
I
big
sure
boot
do.
under the table?
Yes, coming out of church on a Sunday. Absolutely.
Yes. Falling down one step. I wish I had a cooler story, but falling down one step. And I remember going into the ER, and the ER doctor just was so brash and just, you know, well, you'll probably need surgery. And I'm thinking, I'm researching. I don't need surgery. I'm going to look up everything about it and make sure that I'm ready, raring to go when I go in to see that orthopedic doctor, right, to get an opinion about my broken bone. And I walked in, and we're talking, and I was ready to tell him, no, I will not do surgery. And he comes in, he walks in, he's so caring. And he's like, you know, the way it's broken, I really feel like a surgery would be best. And I said, well, but I read that if it's so many millimeters where the bone is not connected, that you don't need surgery. He said, you're correct. Do you work in the medical field? And I said, no, but I do my research. And so he starts talking and he's saying, but you're so young and I really want you to heal well. I want you to be able to walk. And our connection was so good
Yes.
during that half hour that I walked away and I told Greg, I said, you know what? I trust him and I think he's looking out for my best interests and I'm just going to go with whatever he suggests. He said he's going to get back with me. He's going to go over my file more. And when he called me and said he really thinks I should have surgery, I said, fine, I trust you.
Yes.
We had that connection, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think whether it's a medical issue or a life event, financially, I think it matters whether or not that connection's made. Of course, we need to know something, right? We need to be able to handle your finances, and Greg needs to be able to invest things properly and help you guide what you want to do in order to get to your goals. But I think it's more than that sometimes. It's that connection.
Definitely.
For sure. And, you know, different tragedies that are happening, whether it's losing our job or the tragedy of losing your spouse. I just can't even comprehend that, to be honest.
Yeah. Please don't comprehend that.
Yes, we don't
I
want
do
to
not
go
want to
there.
comprehend that.
Yeah, we're not going to go there.
Not at all. Or, you know, right now we've had a lot of people coming in because of all the political unrest.
Yeah.
You know, this has been a big one because it doesn't matter which side of the aisle people are on. A lot of people are uneasy right now.
Of course.
And when the markets, you know, in the last few months have been up, but overall it's been a roller coaster ride for 3 years. It really has, and people are uncertain about how their investments are going to do.
What the next headline is going to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Right?
And so with this political unrest, we don't even, all the things that we took for granted as Americans, just what we would call the American way, that's come in question lately. And so we've got a lot of people calling in that say, you know what, we just need something that's a plan that we feel like is going to get us through these things.
Yes.
And a plan really needs to be, Cynthia, a plan that works in the situation you're in, the things that you're feeling, the problems that you believe need to be solved. And they need to really be okay in any economy.
Yeah.
Whether you lose your job and you need income and you need solutions, or whether you lose your spouse and you're trying to figure out how in the world do I put all the pieces together. You're looking at the news. And by the way, one of the things I would say is try not to watch the news so much, because it does tend to make us feel a little bit unsure of ourselves.
It does. It does.
And not that we don't need to know. We do need to kind of be in the know, but what we dwell on can really affect how we feel. Or if folks are retiring. This is a big one. We've had people that really were so busy with their careers that they never took time to create a strategy or a plan or something that would make them feel confident. So just the fact that they're retiring, Cynthia, is a big point in their life where it's okay. Let's make sure that the investments are okay. Let's make sure we've got all the pieces in place, that you've got an income plan, and that somebody's watching over this that knows retirement planning. And look, a 30-year-old doesn't need our help. That's not what we do. It's not that, you know, we don't meet with 30-year-olds.
Right.
We don't help them with their part of the financial journey. But those that are 55 and older that are now starting to think about retiring in the next 3 to 5 years, that's the people that really, that's a transition. That's a time in their life they really need to start thinking about, how do I keep all these things together and how do I make sure that I'm going to be okay?
And the one thing that both of you alluded to with the story with the gentleman with the DocuSign and also the physician that you met, Kristen, obviously caring was the one word that I heard you use, and that's something that obviously is so important that you both do so very well. And I know that you've saved some special spots aside for new viewers to the show today. Let's talk about what that looks like, Greg, before we take our first commercial break.
Oh, for sure, because regardless of where we are on this path, you know, we like to call it the retirement readiness review. Because if you're thinking about retiring, or you've been forced to retire, or maybe some major life event has happened, make sure you're ready.
Absolutely.
Ready with your investments, ready with your income, ready for taxes, ready for health care, and whatever you leave behind. Make sure it gets to the people that you love, not the government, not the court system, not some attorney somewhere. And we just want people to feel it's okay to come in and seek help. So that's what we're offering, really, that opportunity for you to claim your spot, to come in one-on-one, get some help, and see if perhaps we can help you have that retirement that you've always planned for. So 614-336-7660. Give us a call. We'd love to meet with you one-on-one and see if we can help.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen, 614-336-7660. We realize that you worked your entire life to get to the retirement years, and you deserve to have peace of mind in your retirement. Do you have a plan in place? If not, this is the perfect opportunity for you to claim one of the spots that Greg and Kristen have set aside for you this week. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call 614-336-7660, or if you have your smartphone handy, go ahead, grab it. Click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to Legacy Retirement Group's landing page. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Winning Retirement TV, but don't go anywhere. We're talking all about things retirement, and I'm going to ask Greg and Kristen a very important question about what's coming in 2024. Stay tuned.
Your retirement plan should never be about a transaction. It should always be about a relationship.
I would describe Greg as a very caring person. I'm not just talking about, retirement planning or even our practice. I mean, in general, he has a genuine heart for people.
Well, obviously, I'm married to the most wonderful, beautiful woman in the world, Kristen.
What you can expect from us is a warm family atmosphere.
I mean, they walk into the room, it just lights the room. They're each other's partner in crime. They work really well together and they keep us happy, and we're just like a tight little family here.
Family is obviously the reason we do everything, the reason we do what we do.
What we do is centered around our family. Our staff is like our family too.
We laugh so much in this office.
I love coming to work every single day and spending time with everybody that's in the office.
I like to say that we have a fun office environment.
There's never a dull moment.
Best bosses in the world. I just love my job.
They create a great work-life balance here.
You really have to like the person that you're asking to help you manage your money. And this is going to be a long relationship. Retirement could last as long as your working years.
So I've been working with retirees now since 1993, helping them create plans and strategies to get through retirement. We believe a retirement-focused portfolio should be true to your goals with as little risk as possible.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. Greg and Kristen, you're both amazing at what you do, and the perspectives that you share, obviously, with your listeners on the radio and the TV show, you give people different guidance and different directions. And Greg, I know that you're a fiduciary, so I want to ask you a question. In your opinion, what is the biggest threat to our retirement planning for 2024? What's on the horizon? What's our threat?
Wow, there's so many right now, Cynthia. I would say right now one of the biggest ones I'm concerned about is legislative risk. Because right now, with the stroke of a pen, the government can change the rules.
True.
And, some of the rules are already starting to change. And, we've had different acts and different things, the Secure Act, the Secure Act 2.0, which changed some of the dynamics of how we treat our IRAs or our 401ks, our tax-deferred accounts, if you would. And so they gave us the ability to wait a little longer to take required minimum distributions, but they also took away the ability for our heirs to stretch those over their lifetime in distributions. So they're now forced to take them out within 10 years. A lot of people are concerned of what they may decide to do about the Roth IRA, the fact that it's tax-free, and will they stop allowing us to convert to a Roth? Certain things that have been mentioned there, but legislative risk, I think, is number one.
And I think legislative risk can be direct, like you're just talking about. I call that direct, but it can be indirect too. It can be consumer-based, where that also affects the retiree. It affects how much things cost for us. It affects big businesses and corporations, which then gets trickled down to the end consumer.
Absolutely.
And I think when you start looking at 20 and 30 and even 40 years into your retirement, your world could look totally different than it does now. So that's a big one. I agree with you on that.
For sure. Market volatility risk has always been there. But it's something we need to bring to the light again, because it's one of those things that when things are going well, you sometimes forget that the market's volatile. When things are going poorly, it's highlighted more because we're seeing our accounts go down. And it becomes a matter of structure and philosophy.
Okay.
So how a portfolio is structured, You know, do we just use stocks and bonds? Do we use some mutual funds? Some people use variable annuities, which we would never use in our practice because the fees are enormous. They use different tools in their practice, and so that structure of how a portfolio is built can have an impact. For instance, if I own a mutual fund, that mutual fund manager may be brilliant, but if I've got a growth mutual fund, that growth fund manager has to invest in growth stocks. So if that fund manager realizes, okay, growth stocks are all going down right now, they don't have the option of saying, well, I'm just going to move it all to cash right now and protect the investors from loss.
Oh, boy.
They're not allowed. So that's a matter of structure.
Wow, okay.
The second problem is philosophy. So there are those that really are fabulous at helping people accumulate wealth, and they're so good at it that they become, to some degree, what I believe is overconfident. So they're saying to people retiring, well, look how well the market's done for you as you've accumulated over time, as you've actually been putting money in out of every paycheck and averaging out your cost into the market. And they don't realize how much differently the market behaves in an account when we're taking withdrawals. So it's not that I believe that they are bad advisors. I think they just don't understand the difference between accumulating and taking distributions. So
Absolutely.
Market volatility can be a big one.
Okay, okay.
Inflation too,
Yes.
which we've seen, right? Everyone knows about
Absolutely.
inflation.
That is true.
And now we hear about shrinkflation all the time with the size of things
Yes.
getting smaller.
That's
So the
true.
cost is still going up, right? It's just
It
looking
is.
at it a different way.
It's true.
And inflation surely impacts our retirement, like I was just kind of touching on a little bit there with legislative causing pricing changes. If there's more regulation on big businesses, then they in turn trickle that down to the consumer, and we pay more for things, right?
Of course.
So as we're moving through and planning for income and retirement, we have to take that into account and realize that that is something that needs to be addressed throughout our retirement years.
Absolutely.
And you know what's interesting, Cynthia? No matter how much a family has saved, in almost every instance when they come in and visit with us, one of their big concerns is the risk of outliving their money.
Okay.
And so with that risk, it's not that they really think they're going to outlive their money, but they want the confidence that they're not going to outlive their money.
Of course.
And they get that confidence through a plan.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So that's another threat, is just not having a plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you don't have a plan, then how do you know where you're going to end up?
That's true. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Greg, what about healthcare risk before we take our next commercial break?
Well, the average retiree will spend over $200,000 during their lifetime if they don't use long-term care on health care costs, whether it's prescription drugs, whether it's co-pays, whether it's other medical things that they have. That's a big ticket for retirement. It could be the largest ticket that we have to spend in retirement, and we really need to account for that. Now, Kristen and I don't do health care in our practice, but we have strategically partnered with some people that do health care so that our clients can be taken care of. Yeah.
Well, Greg, I know that you and Kristen have saved some spots aside for new viewers this week. Let's talk about what that looks like before we reopen the phone lines.
Well, it'd be terrible to tell people that a big risk is lack of a plan and not offer the opportunity for them to get a written plan.
Very true.
You know? And so for anyone that calls before the end of today's show, you're going to have the opportunity to claim your one-on-one consultation with a member of our team to create your own written income and retirement plan. So 614-336-7660. Give us a call. We'd love to help you make sure that your retirement journey is what you want it to be.
Greg, thank you. Kristen, thank you. To the viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen, 614-336-7660. If you're in the viewing audience today and you realize, gosh, I need a plan for my retirement, not just statements that I'm pulling together, but an actual plan. What you're being given the opportunity today would be to claim one of those spots that Greg and Kristen have set aside just for you. All you have to do is call in, 614-336-7660. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. I have so much more with Greg and Kristen when we return.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. I My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Kristen Taylor with Legacy Retirement Group. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. We specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and much, much more. Plan your retirement right. Call right now for your own complimentary portfolio review and tax analysis.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group, and we're talking about all things retirement. So much so, Greg and Kristen, that we actually had one of our viewers a few weeks ago. We're going to call him Dave, okay? He's a retired engineer with about $1.5 million set aside for retirement, but reached out because he's got concerns about his asset allocations and Roth conversions. In my opinion, those are two very valid planning concerns. Would you both agree?
Oh, for sure. For sure. And first of all, we want to thank all our viewers, and especially Dave, for reaching out and watching each week. And, you know, it's such a privilege for us to be able to just kind of share our hearts with people and have the opportunity to let them know, you know, our view of retirement planning and what that's all about. But, you know, asset allocation is a big conversation because the way we allocate our assets when we are young, in my mind, should be different than the way we allocate our assets once we're, say, 60 and older.
Okay.
You know, we share with young people at church all the time that, you know, put your money in stocks. You know, when we give them a few ideas as the type of things to invest in, and put money in regularly and let it ride for the next, you know, 30, 40 years and let that grow and accumulate so that you'll have something to fall back on when you get to retirement years. And that works. But the closer you get to retirement, the more defensive you need to be. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have money invested in stocks. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't invest in bonds or mutual funds or things like that. But it means that the way you're allocated, and the way I look at it is there's two primary asset classes.
Okay.
There's one asset classes where our principal is at risk. There's another type of asset classes where our principal is protected.
Okay.
And so it's not just, okay, how much is in stocks, how much is in bonds, how much is in ETFs, how much is in mutual funds. That's not really the conversation of asset allocation. Now it's, okay, how much should I have at risk versus how much I have protected? And so we divide that within a plan within three buckets. There's a bucket that's designed for liquidity. And typically that's money that people have in the bank, and we call that affectionately the sleep well at night account.
I love that. Okay.
You know?
The swan.
Swan, that's it.
It's beautiful.
It is. It's a
Just
beautiful
kind of
thing.
floating along.
You like
But,
to see it, you can touch it. We were talking to a
Yes.
friend of ours, and he's like, you know, I go over to the bank and I just like pulling money out sometimes. I want to touch it, make sure it's real,
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely.
Still have some of it here. Yeah. So we typically recommend, depending on the family, somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 in that sleep well at night account. So the second bucket is there for income, and it's really all about figuring out what amount of income someone needs, how much other dependable income they already have, and whether or not there's a gap.
Okay.
If there is a gap, we want to use the absolute least amount of money possible to protect that amount of income.
Okay.
So that, all right, if a family is retired, they have all the income they need to live and their lifestyle and pay their bills and do all the things they want to do. They've got $100,000 in the bank. The growth bucket can now do its thing. It can grow, but, you know, I wish the growth bucket just always went up.
Yes, that would be nice.
But it doesn't.
Well, and I think it's important to point out why that's really an important thing, because we've sat at the conference room table so many times with a husband and wife, and or even just after one has passed away that controlled the money, and they're like, I was never allowed to get a couch because I wasn't going to sell investments, or, you know, he wasn't, usually it's the husband, he wasn't going to sell investments for me to buy, the couch I wanted, or I'm laughing inside because what was the tool? There was a garden tool somebody wanted.
So one of my good friends who's an advisor,
Okay.
his grandfather passed away in Florida, so he flew down, went to the funeral. Afterwards, the grandmother, now this is at the funeral, they haven't even put the dirt on his casket yet.
Okay.
Grandma's getting into the car with him and says, on the way home, can we stop by Walmart? And he said, well, sure, Grandma, what do you need? She says, there's something I need to pick up. So they pull into Walmart, she goes in, she walks in the garden section, she gets a little cart, goes in the garden section, she gets one of those garden claws, one of those things that you go like this to kind of
like the big hand.
Dig up the soil, right?
Okay.
And puts it in the cart, goes and pays for it, and he said, Grandmother, why did we have to get this? She said, your grandfather would never let me buy one of these.
Oh my gosh.
Now, of course, you didn't need to sell an investment for that, but that just popped in my mind.
I know.
It was so funny to me, but really, I mean, you're not going to sell investments to buy things that are not necessary.
Yeah, I don't think a garden claw is quite that much. But still.
Not that much. But that just reminded me of that.
For
so
sure.
I think it's important to have that money set aside. Yeah.
It is, and so what we're really talking about here is allocating your money in such a way to where you feel confident.
Yes.
And when you've got your liquid bucket for the things that happen in life, the needs, wants, and emergencies, you've got your income bucket that pays your bills and allows you to live your lifestyle, and now you've got your growth bucket that you don't need, and the ups and downs aren't going to affect the way you live. And this is crucial. This is what retirement asset allocation is all about. So bucket 1 and bucket 2, the principals are protected. Bucket 3, the principal is at risk. But that's okay. You can afford the risk because your income and your emergencies are already cared for.
Perfect, yes.
So when weird things happen, okay, the 2020 pandemic, we got, in our office, we received 3 phone calls. Why? Because our clients had money in the bank.
Yeah.
Our clients had income that was dependable. And now they also realize, okay, our growth bucket's not as big as it was a couple months ago, but we're okay.
Yes.
We are okay. And so that's what a retirement plan is really all about, Cynthia. That's what asset allocation is really all about. It's not putting together some 32-page multicolored report with all these charts and graphs.
Yes.
It's about making people feel secure.
And peace of mind, which is so important. Greg, thank you so much. And Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, there's a number to call on your screen, 614-336-7660. You deserve to have peace of mind in your retirement. Don't miss the opportunity to claim one of the spots that Greg and Kristen have set aside for you this week. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed most of all. We'll see you next week on Winning Retirement TV with Greg and Kristen Taylor. Thank you for watching.